Hello, how are you? I am back again, and today I thought I'd do a quick video about one of my favourite ever Jo Malone perfumes, Velvet Rose Oud. I have done a video about this perfume in the past, but to be honest, I feel like we need a refresher. It's such a good perfume, it's truly one of my favourites, and I just needed to give it a little bit more love. So I'm wearing it now, but I'm going to put a little bit more on, just on my wrist, so I can get at it a bit quicker and easier. Oh, it's so good. And do you know what I love about this perfume? It's got such incredible longevity. The cologne, the Jo Malone Cologne Intense perfumes tend to have better longevity in general because they are just like a little bit richer, a little bit more concentrated, and like a little bit more like, I don't know, they include a lot more like ouds and resins, you know, which this one of course does, and it's just got incredible longevity. But if you ever want to make your Jo Malone perfumes last a little bit longer, I always suggest spritzing a bit in your hair, spritzing a bit on your clothes. It really will make it last longer. And of course, if you have any of the Bath and Body products, layer them up too. Layer, layer, layer. It's all about layering. Also, if you are into fragrance combining, that can help like make it a little bit longer as well, just because you're just putting a little bit more on and kind of, I don't know, there's just a little bit more like going on and then it lasts a bit longer. I don't know if that helps. Anyway, Velvet Rose Oud, it is absolutely gorgeous. Funnily enough, when I first tried this perfume, I did not like it. I thought it was too sweet and I thought it was just like a little bit like, ugh, no, not for me. And then I tried it again a couple of years later and I was like, this is phenomenal. There's something about it which is just so beautiful. It's so rich. It's so intense and floral and rosy and oudy. It's got like quite a lot of powderiness to it. And it kind of does remind me of Turkish Delight. A little bit like the new perfume, which is called, I can't remember. It's a new perfume. I just did a video about it. I've already forgotten the name. How dreadful am I? Anyway, this perfume is described by Jo Malone as celebrating the internal beauty and versatility of the revered flower, the iconic florality of damask rose wrapped in smoky depths of oud, sparkled with clove, and delicious taste of praline, magnetic and decadent. I 100% agree. It's such a good perfume. There is that spiciness. There is that rich, full-bodied rosiness. There is that oud. There is that depth, that mystery, that kind of feeling of the exotic, feeling of like far-flung climates. It's warmth, it's more sunshiny, it's more scorched earth. But there's also, I don't know, it's just beautiful. Like, it's so much. It's really complex, it's really beautiful. It's got this kind of Turkish Delight. Oh, I just love it. It's like there's something kind of powdery, delicious, creamy, smoky, oudy, rose-filled, and it's a lot. Like, it's got a lot of spice, it's got a lot of rose, it's got a lot of like smokiness, and that's what I love about it. It's a lot more intense compared to a lot of the other Jo Malone perfumes, and it's a lot more complex as well. It reminds me a little bit of Red Roses, of course, but without the added mystery, because Red Rose is a lot more fresh and just like fresh, pretty daytime rose, whereas this is much more of an evening rose. It also reminds me of Malone Tonka because it's got that creaminess to it. It reminds me of the new perfume, which I cannot for the life of me remember what the name is. I might actually look on the Jo Malone website to look, because I'm just like, I cannot remember the name of it. Rosewater and Vanilla, there it is. It reminds me a little bit of Rosewater and Vanilla, but I would say richer, fuller, more intoxicating, more mysterious, more intense, more depth, just more loveliness. I'm trying to think what else it reminds me of. Maybe a little bit of oud and bergamot, but like much more feminine and floral. And I don't know what else it reminds me of. It's just beautiful. In terms of other perfumes it reminds me of from other brands, it does remind me a little bit of Penhaligon's Halfeti, which I love. That is beautiful. And it also reminds me a little bit of El Capital by Diptyque. You know the one I mean, the one that's inspired by Paris, and that's very rich, smoky, oudy, rosy, and that is also beautiful. But to be honest, the one that I always reach for is always Jo Malone's Velvet Rose Oud. I absolutely love it. It's so beautiful. If you like red roses for the day, I think you will like this one. If you like Malone Tonka, but you want a little bit more of a floral note, I would say try this one. Again, it's beautiful. It's just so, so, so pretty, and it's It's so deep and exciting, and yeah, it's not your average Jo Malone perfume. It's a little bit more complex and mysterious and evening-y. I always think of Jo Malone as being very much more daytime perfumes, but this is much more of an evening fragrance. In terms of fragrance combining, you don't really need to combine it with anything because it's so good. You can make it a little bit more fresh and daytimey with something like sea salt and wood sage, and you can also make it a little bit more rich and creamy and knock back the floral a little bit with myrrh and tonka, or you could combine it with something like blackberry and bay to make it a little bit more of a floral fruity smokiness, which would be really lovely, or maybe poppy and barley to make it a little bit more fresh and outdoorsy but also retain the roseness of it and the kind of the mystery of it. I think that might be a really nice combination, but to be honest, it's beautiful the way it is. It's absolutely perfect. Incredible longevity. It's one of my absolute favorites from the brand. And yeah, the cologne intensives are a little bit more money than the classic fragrances, but I personally think they're worth it. They just last a little bit longer and they just feel a little bit more special. Anyway, that's my video. Absolutely love, 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 love this perfume. I just wanted to share it with you again because I have shared it once before, but I just love it so much. It deserved 2 videos, which is wild. Of all the perfumes I owned, you wouldn't think I'd be now doing 2 videos about the exact same perfume, but here I am. It's just one of my favourite perfumes ever. And if you're like me and you didn't like it at first, try it again, because quite frankly, I didn't like it at first. I thought it was a bit gross, and now I love it. It's one of my favourites. I would put it in my top 5 ever Jo Malone perfumes. Anyway, that's my video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.